Brilliant. So, Tom, I'm going to start with you, if that's okay. Can you introduce yourself to the audience? So, where you went to university, what you studied, and a bit about why you decided to join the RAF.
Yeah, cool. So I'm Tom, a what is now called a cyberspace. I'm in the cyberspace profession as a communication electronics engineer.
Yep.
So as Clara just sort of touched on there, I joined the RAF through the University Air Squadron, but how I
Yep.
got there isn't necessarily the sort of normal route. So I can remember I was back in school. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I was always quite interested in sort of IT, communications, computers. Always sort of playing around with my own laptop and doing bits of web development, that sort of stuff. So that sort of guided my aspirations when I went to college, and I picked some software development courses up in IT and maths and computer science type stuff. I knew at that stage I wanted to go to university, but I didn't really know what I wanted to do afterwards and where sort of I wanted to go. I can remember a conversation with my mum about a friend who was joining the army, and my mum had said, "Oh, you had to consider joining the military."
Mm.
And I sort of pushed her ideas back and sort of, no, the military is not for me. It's not something I'd be interested in. So I took an extra year at college and sort of tightened up the things I needed to get into university. So I did an extra year, did a software development course. So all my friends from previous courses all sort of gone off to university and started to enjoy themselves there. And one of my friends, Sam, had gone off and he joined the UOTC, which is the Army equivalent of the University Air Squadron. So that's the Officers Training Corps for the Army. He joined that and he'd been away to loads of different countries on adventurous training and done rock climbing abroad and sailing and done some stuff in the field. And it all sounded really interesting. So when I'd gone to visit him and he'd been talking about this, and I'd been meeting his friends and they were all sort of talking about it, I said, oh, when I get to uni, I'll sort of keep that in my head. And when I get to the Freshers' Fair, I'll aim to do the same and join the UOTC.
Yeah.
So when I got to the Freshers' Fair at University of Lincoln, went to the Freshers' Fair, went to the UOTC stand, sort of signed up, and then got sort of pulled to one side by the UAS, the University Air Squadron stand, which was next door, and they said, "Well, we're basically the same, but we've got flying attached."
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds cool.
Very on top.
Yeah, yeah, on topic. So I thought, well, if I'm going to join one of the two, go for the UAS. So I'm luckily got into both, but ended up joining the University Air Squadron.
Mhm.
And then quickly within sort of I really threw myself into that and really got involved. And within a sort of year, that sort of set my trajectory up then as to what I wanted to do career-wise. I'd never joined an organisation or been part of I've never been part of cadets or anything like that. But
Mhm.
um, the people that I met and the experiences that I got sort of really just solidified that that's what I wanted to go and do.
Yeah.
So that then led me on to looking at opportunities as to what careers you could go down in the RAF,
Mhm.
and I landed on a perfect fit in my eyes, which was sort of communications electronics engineering officer.
You've
So
not looked back since.
I've not looked back since. No, absolutely not.
So whilst you're at university, Tom, how was that split? So for example, some students now might maybe considering doing a placement or this, that, the other. So did you get any additional kind of civil experience, or did you think actually, whilst you're at university, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing within the air squadron, and I'm going to just take advantage of doing that as well as my full-time degree course? Or did you get any other experience? How did you kind of do it for those 3 years?
So we always had people from industry coming in and chatting to us on the degree program. And don't get me wrong, the job sounded interesting, but I think it's the other things the other pieces of it that drew me to the RAF, and the sort of work-life balance
Yeah.
piece. So I was full on committed to the UAS and spent a lot of my entire summer holidays from university was spent either out in the field doing stuff,
I was
flying,
there.
or
Yeah.
on adventurous training, whether that's in the UK or abroad.
Mhm.
Went some great places, and it was sort of really solidified through doing all that stuff. So my piece to anyone is if they get the chance to join the UAS is definitely jump into it, because the doors it opens and what it shows you around visiting different stations and yeah, you couldn't really have a better warm up.
Yeah, and it's again great to get those additional experiences. You practice those kind of competency skills, don't you? Communication, teamwork, all that stuff as well, building up your own confidence. Tom, I'm going to come back to you a little bit later on to find out more about your role, but I just want to bring Ella in because I'm conscious we're already now 15 minutes in and we haven't actually said hi to you, Ella. So yeah, Ella, similar kind of questions if you don't mind. So just a bit introduction. So where you went to university, what you studied, and why the RAF for you?
Yeah, so as they mentioned, my name's Ella. I'm a Aerosystems Engineering Officer in the RAF. So at the moment, I'm working in a really kind of niche role. I'm doing like electronic warfare stuff, which is really, really interesting. I went to university up at Northumbria, so up in Newcastle. I have always wanted to join the RAF, like pretty much since I was a kid. It's the only job I've ever really seen myself doing. Always wanted to be an engineer, always wanted to be in the RAF. One of my earliest memories was visiting my grandparents in Cyprus and seeing them flying out of RAF Akrotiri. And kind of from then on, I was like, that's it, that's what I want to do. Chased it all out when I was growing up. Went to Air Cadets. I then went to uni and I did mechanical engineering. So completely not what I do in my day-to-day job now. I was on something called the Defence Technical Undergraduate Scheme. So it was what is now the Defence STEM undergraduate scheme. So a little bit like Tom, I was getting paid to go and like play sport, go and play rugby. When I was in, I think it was my second year going into my third year, I went to northern Spain for 15 days with my friends from uni. As part of this, we were going and doing like AT sport. We were doing a battlefield tour, so we were going and doing a bit of history stuff. And I got paid to go on holiday with my friends when I was at university, which was brilliant. So all throughout kind of my childhood into my early sort of adulthood, it's all I've ever wanted to do, and I absolutely love my job now. And like Tom said, I would encourage absolutely anybody to get involved while they're at uni, because like, what else do you want? You can go on holiday and get paid to go with your friends. It's brilliant.
Yeah, exactly.
Can
And
I
so,
just,
go
sorry,
yeah, go.
Jess, I was just going to ask Ellie about, you mentioned about mechanical engineering, Ella.
Yeah.
Why did you choose mechanical then? Because obviously you've said you wanted to get into engineering. What specifically was it about mechanical engineering that I thought, oh, I'd like to study that at uni?
So I have always quite liked doing the math side of it. I did look at doing kind of a more computer related degree because I did computer science when I was doing my A levels. So I was always on the fence about whether to go aerosystems or communications, electronics, or cyberspace, as it's now known. And when I was at college, we went and did a university open day. I think it was at Birmingham, and they were just putting on a couple of like taster lectures and taster sessions and things. And I just went to the mechanical engineering ones. We were looking at the like ranking cycles and cycles inside an engine. I was like, that's brilliant. This is the exact sort of maths that I like doing. It's the sort of research that I enjoy doing. And yeah, decided that I'd do mechanical engineering and absolutely loved it. I had a brilliant time at uni. My course was fantastic. And yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Thank
not
you,
look back.
No,
exactly.
absolutely not.
So go on then, Ella, tell us in a little bit more detail about your role, if you can, and what you've been up to since you've joined the RAF.
Yeah, so I joined the RAF in I think it was February last year, so I've not been in very long at all. In fact, it's just gone a year since I passed out phase 1 training, so when I commissioned as an officer. So it was about 9 months at Cranwell, which was all of our initial training, so learning how to be an officer, learning how to be a manager. And then I went to RAF Cosford, which is not too far from Wolverhampton, and did my specialist trade training there. And that was looking at being an engineer, essentially. So at that point, I was starting to apply my degree. So all the like engineering management modules and things, we were learning how to apply that. Had a brilliant time there. I loved my training. It was fantastic. And then from Cosford, I got posted to RAF Coningsby, which is where I am now. So that was my first tour, or it is my first tour. And I came here at the start of July. So I've really not been in very long. I'm still a little baby officer, still trying to learn the ropes. Like I said, my role at the moment is in electronic warfare. So we produce a load of different data files that go on the aircraft and help the pilot kind of understand what's going on in the air, what other aircraft are flying in the area, potentially what equipment they've got on board, and just really giving the pilots that sort of understanding of what's happening, what's out there, and so that they know how to react to it. It's a brilliant job, really niche, but really interesting.
So it's not as hands-on as maybe your degree stuff that you did then?
No, so it's my job at the moment is really kind of managing people, which is what I wanted to do. It is still quite technical though, just because of what it is, if nothing else. So when we do our phase 2 training, it's looking is looking more at being like more of a classical engineering manager, I suppose, working on things like general engineering flight, or like weapons engineering flight. So I came into my job trying to understand all these acronyms on day one, and someone gave me a book that I think was about 50 pages long in type 11 font with all the acronyms that I needed to know. So a lot of it is managing people, but that's what I really enjoy, and the technical side of it as well. I just love my job.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
You
great
can
to
tell.
hear.
You haven't stopped smiling.
I know, shouldn't she? And it's an inspiration, really. And how did you decide that that's where you were going to end up in this role after phase 1 training? Like, how did you get put into that particular role? Is that something you could say, I'm interested in this is what I want to do? Or is it that just a natural progression that you would go into that role next?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I was on my phase 2, about 2 months before we finished, we got told these are the jobs that are likely to be coming up for you. You know, these are kind of the areas that you want to go into, and we've got to put in what we called a dream sheet. So we could either pick the job that we wanted or sort of the location that we wanted. And for me, when I heard that this particular job was coming up, I was like, brilliant, first choice. I did put a second and third choice, and I had a bit of a frank conversation saying I don't want my second or third choice, it's first choice or nothing. So my course got quite a lot of say in where we wanted to go. And like I was saying to my course mates at the time, I always said I'd either love the job that I got put into, or I'd love the area that I got sent to. And if I didn't enjoy either of those, I'd find like a sport or some kind of activity to do up there that I loved. So I was pretty happy to go anywhere, but this job was just ticked all the boxes for me.
Yeah, made for you. Perfect. Thank you so much, Ella, for that. Again, can't wait to find out more from you. But Tom, I want to bring you back in as well, just to come into a little bit more detail about your role, if possible, and again, your kind of journey so far being in the RAF.
Yeah, so I've been in the RAF 5 years now. So I've done a couple of tours. So like Ella, went through Cranwell, went off to Cosford. The aero systems and the cyberspace schools are different. We're sort of covering similar topics in terms of engineering management, managing people, managing yourself more than anything else, and then also like foundation topics in terms of the areas that we could go into as a profession, which is quite broad. It goes from anywhere sort of like from radar to all the way through to cyber operations and cyber defence, platform support. So it's quite a broad brush bit of training, but the idea is that it will set you up and give you the foundations for any job that you end up in. So I left Cosford and I got posted straight into Air Command, which was quite daunting, sort of the upper echelons of the Royal Air Force. So that was a bit of an experience in itself, as in a capability role, bringing a new air system into service, which was really interesting. Sort of visiting and being involved with a lot of places. I did a lot of travel, whether that was to countries in Europe or the USA, sort of gathering bits of information we needed as the UK to sort of bring this platform into service. And then from there, spent two and a bit years doing that job. Very much a sort of project management job. I didn't have anyone to manage there. I was being managed, but I was responsible for quite important pieces of equipment and sort of enabling bits. And then I went from there and I did an operational tour. So I went out of area. So what that essentially means is I was abroad directly supporting operations from what we call an A6 perspective. So that's everything communications and cyberspace related. So I was out doing that for 6 months, and then I came back and I'm now in a role supporting Typhoon and the flight that manage all the IT and all the mission systems, the engineering systems for Typhoon. So everything an engineer uses, everything a pilot uses to plan and prepare an aircraft to get up into the air.
Wow, Tom, it seems as though you've been given a lot of responsibility. I know you've obviously been there 5 years now, but quite early on, you know, all those jobs that you've mentioned you've been involved in. How did you find that, taking on all this responsibility again quite early on?
So I think like any post, it takes you a bit of time to get up to speed. It took me a good 6 months to sort of build up relationships and rapport with people, and sort of who to go to for certain problems or issues that you're facing and trying to work through. But generally, my management and the sort of support network and the other JOs, the other junior officers that you'll chat to that are also High Wycombe, everyone's sort of there to support each other. It might it's not like a sit down, I'll support you through this. It's sort of a, oh, I don't know where to go for this. I'm a bit stuck. Have you experienced this before? And 9 times out of 10, someone else has gone through it before, and they can sort of lend a hand and point you in the right direction. Yeah, it's High Wycombe was a lot of responsibility, sort of briefing up to the equivalent of in civilian street as to sort of chief executive level. So it is sort of straight in the deep end, but you get the core skills you need through the training, whether that's at Cranwell or Cosford, to sort of prepare you for that environment.
And obviously the trust that you can do it as well. Just that means so they wouldn't give you the role if they didn't think you couldn't do it. And,
yeah, that's it.
Proven you can. So which kind of leads me nicely on. So to ask you the question, why for you would being in the RAF be like no ordinary job?
So for me, it's just the opportunities to see and do things that no one else gets to see or do. There's a lot that goes on in the background. Quite often people obviously see aircraft in the air or go to air shows and see the output of the RAF, but the amount of work that goes on in the background in sort of particularly the enabling space in engineering and cyberspace is profound, and it's massive, and there's a huge pool of people that are working all towards the same common goal. But that opens up opportunities for you to get abroad, whether it's directly related to your job or whether that's sort of on a ventures training activity, or whether that's just furthering your own portfolio, whether that's doing further study into degree topics and all that sort of stuff. It is honestly what you make of it, and you can sort of steer. You get to steer your own direction you want to take things in. I don't know any other. I speak to peers who I was at university with, and they're doing their jobs, which sound really interesting, but it's very much sort of work and home life are quite separate. The RAF's one where it does become your life to an extent.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it does. If you think of your settings now, where you've been traveling, it's a commitment in that sense, isn't it? But it's nice to know that again, when you've got that, you can do that comparison, with your peers that are in doing other things, thinking actually, no, I'm still making the right decision and I'm doing the right thing. So no, I love that, Tom. And a similar kind of question to you. So yeah, why life in the RAF is no ordinary job for you?
I think it goes back to that the cliche of it really is what you make it, and you get as much as you put into it. So I know, I've got friends like Tom that are on civilian street and in civilian jobs, and they go to work, they do their job, they come home, and that's kind of where work sort of very much starts and ends. But for us, we get opportunities to go and travel. I've got friends that have been like all over the world skiing, scuba diving. I've recently won 2 flying scholarships. So there's an RAF sports aircraft team. So they're paying pretty much for me to do my private pilot's license, and that's all done in a service club. That's a fantastic opportunity that I've had really, really early on in my career. And it really is like the opportunities for absolutely everything are out there. If there's some kind of hobby or sport or something that you want to do, somebody else in the RAF will be doing it, and it will be like an organised thing. So it really is. You just got to go out and get after it, because there's degrees available. There's all sorts of sport available. Some really like unusual sports as well, like bobsleigh and the winter sports are a really big thing in the military. So yeah, there's chance to do all these interesting and really, really fun stuff in work's time that you'd never get in a civilian job.
Yeah, I always think that when we obviously worked with you guys for so many years now, and in the past, what have we been doing today? Well, we've had volleyball this morning, we're doing this afternoon, and I'm like, oh, it's so amazing.
I like the idea of the dream
work
list
as well, but yeah.
Come on, Tom, you don't really.
Which kind of leads me nicely on to the misconceptions. And I always cover misconceptions when we do this RAF webinar, because I still think, maybe for those students that haven't considered a career in the RAF, there will be those kind of maybe ideas, conceptions that maybe aren't right. So yeah, what would you say, is the kind of most common misconception maybe you've encountered, or maybe you thought before you joined and now you've joined maybe isn't the case at all? So I'll stick with you on that one.
I think probably the first one that comes to mind for me is the work-life balance almost being I think it's got quite a big misconception. In the military, you're told exactly what to do, where to be, when, what to wear. You know, you almost don't. I think there's this misconception that you don't really get to have your own say in it, which absolutely is not the case. Like with this posting for me, I absolutely chose this. I said that I wanted to come here. I wanted to do this job. It was in the right place. My partner's also serving, so we get the benefit of, we can both say, oh, you know, my partner's posted here. Is there anything in that area, so that we don't have to move away from each other?
Yeah.
There's some like fantastic like schemes, I suppose, available to help people now. So me and my partner, we're not married yet, but there's something written in policy about being in a long-term relationship that has been specifically designed to help people that, you know, might not necessarily be married but have been together for a long time, and might as well be married and everything except for name. So there's been a lot of work recently on making the kind of home life balance a lot better for people. So I tend to work from home on a Friday because I commute to and from like Leeds on a weekend. So I can go home on a Thursday night and get a somewhat decent weekend in with my family. And the work-life balance for me is absolutely brilliant. And you know, there are the opportunities for travel available, but if you've got a young kid and you don't want to be able to travel, then there are ways and means of being able to do that, and just making it so that you can still have like your personal life and a family, and not kind of give everything to the military. It has been worked on a lot, even since I've been in the short time that I've been in. I've seen some really good changes.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, you know, Vicky, you know, like with your experience, you've got children, haven't you? You know, you have like almost that office, you know, working in the office, but then you can go home on a night, you've got your family at home, you're not, you know, assigned to living in a certain.
I do, yeah. So like Ella said, I predominantly work from home on a Tuesday because it fits around the childcare system that I work with my family and with my friends, because we're not anywhere near family. We've never been near family. So to get childcare, you have to we've had to make friends and make that work. So I make that work. My children get a bus every morning. So, you know, there's the flexibility that I work until the bus comes, then jump in the car, shoot up to work, and I'm there that I can shoot back down the road if I have to, if I need to be. So the work-life balance is really amazing, and that's one of the reasons why when I decided to come back to work, that I came back to the Air Force, because there's no civvy jobs going to say, well, yes, you can stay at home until 8:30 and then come in, and then if anything happens to one of your children, you can still nip home. They're going to want a day's holiday off you, or things like that. So there's not always the flex out in Civvy Street, where we are pretty lucky in the Air Force that.
And it's a good point to make.
There is definitely flex.
You're at this early stage, you know, maybe not have children yet, but thinking about the future. But it's nice then, you know, going forward, you know, 10 years time or whatever it may be, you think actually, if that is the situation I'm going to be in, you know, I'm in an environment which can be flexible, it can support me, and you know, I can then really see a career and a future within the RAF, which is great.
Absolutely. There's so much in place now that, whereas previously when women wanted to start a family, maybe they did have to potentially leave the Air Force. Now that's not the case, and you really can do exactly what you want to do, and it is fantastic.
Yeah. Tom, what are your misconceptions, if any?
I guess it goes back to that original conversation we had with my mum when her friend's daughter was joining the army. I thought the military was going to be sort of bouncing off what Alice said there, sort of very rigid, sort of your time isn't your own, you're in work, you got the job to do, you do the job, and then you haven't really got any time to yourself. Whereas I guess, as Ella's really touched on there, it is what you make of it. It's not everyone's getting up at 6 a.m. and block inspections and all that sort of stuff. The RAF, I think, out of all three services, from the interactions I've had with the other services, is the more sort of relaxed one when we can be relaxed. So we give people the opportunity and the flexibility to manage their own time and their own output, as long as they are achieving what they're set to achieve. And then when we need to tighten that up, and there's an imperative there that we get a job done, then the buy-in's there, because people know they've had the time and the respite to crack on and do that. So I guess the whole military thing, You go through Cranwell, there is obviously a baseline of military sort of understanding and training and mentality that people has to be instilled and sort of taught, but it's not maybe as bad as some programs you see on TV, for example. It's
yeah.
environment.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. You know, sometimes, yeah, because of those programs, you do think it's going to be like this, but then you guys are actually, well, no, it's not. So talking a little bit about kind of the educational opportunities that you guys have been offered so far. So Tom, I'm going to stick with you on this one because you've obviously been in a little bit longer than Ella. So yeah, you know, Ella, you kind of touched upon it as well, being able to maybe do an additional degree. You know, you've been given those flying opportunities, which is incredible. What experiences have you had, Tom, around that, and what educational support have you had if you needed it?
So I've been on a range of courses. The courses I've been on so far tend to be sort of related to the job. So whether that's project management or capability management courses that I've been on, and there's industry partners that go on those courses as well that are paying thousands of pounds for those courses,
Yeah.
and they're working for sort of industry partners, or whether it's like pre-deployment courses in sort of managing specific or bespoke systems. But then I've got friends who are partway through degrees that are fully paid for and sponsored. Whether that's, I've got friends on the aerosystems side that are doing sort of aerosystems test and evaluation degrees, and then on the cyberspace side, I've got friends who are doing master's degrees in cybersecurity. So there's a range of options there, and if there maybe isn't, if you want to continue your education, there isn't a degree that sort of fits that's already funded, whether you do that in work time or whether you take the year still being paid by the RF, but you go off and do a degree, there's an opportunity there for you to put forward the proposal for your degree to be funded.
Yeah.
So the development, there's a sort of key measurement for junior officers as sort of we're looking towards promotion is sort of how much time are you spending on your own development. Have you achieved your integrated engineer status? Have you achieved your chartered status? All of those memberships are paid for and reimbursed for by the RAF, and they've got people in those organisations, whether it's for us like the British Computing Society, or the IET, or I guess really it'll be the like IMechE side of things. They've got people in there that have got either previously serving or currently serving who can translate the military speak as to when people put applications in and put that into a civilian context so that we're measured against the same baseline as civilians, but we've got that helping hand in terms of getting those accreditations.
Additional
So,
bonus, isn't it? Massive.
Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant.
That's really good. And Tom, I'm assuming the answer is going to be yes here, but you've kind of touched upon it. But say if it wasn't maybe an official like training course or anything like that, it might be something maybe more getting your confidence up. So maybe presenting, communicating, that kind of stuff. Again, when you're such an early graduate joining the force, you know, can you kind of ask for additional help and support with maybe the softer skills, for example?
Yeah, so I mean, we're as officers when you're coming through, that's the leadership, management, presenting, confidence things are always sort of they're covered on every sort of course you go on.
Yeah.
There's expectation there, but I was quite a nervous presenter quite early on in my career and on the UAS. My UAS time sort of built that up to where I am now, and that's great. But even aside from sort of the courses that you'll end up going on during your career, we get a certain amount of money every year to they call them learning credits that you can spend on any course, and as long as you can tie it back to what the use is in a military context. So whether I know that people have done sort of numerous qualifications. I know that people have gone to learn a second language with their learning credits, and as long as they can tie that back to sort of how it's going to not necessarily tie back to their exact job now, but how it's going to further their career, they can do that. And then there's larger learning credits. I think once you're in for 5 years, Vicky might be able to correct me, but once you're in for 5 years, you get a couple of £1,000 to go and spend on courses. And so the longer you sort of spend in, the more money and investment you've got to spend yourself outside of what's already offered.
Wow, that's brilliant. Ella, have you got anything to add to that with, again, early on, but
yeah, so obviously I'm still really early on, so I've personally not had a chance to go and do all these like fantastic educational opportunities, but I'm aware of quite a lot of what them are. So there's, like Tom was saying, there's an incredible amount of funded degree opportunities, whether you've already got a first degree or whether this is going to be your first degree. So one of the ones that I'm aware of, because I've got a couple of friends that are doing it or have done it, there's the Chief of the Air Staff's fellowships, which are fully funded degrees. So I think there's master's degrees and PhDs available. And they're at universities like Cambridge, Oxford, Exeter, doing degrees that the RAF has highlighted as areas for sort of potential interest in the future. So there's one at, I think it's based out of Cambridge University, doing sustainable engineering, and that's a master's degree, and that is fully funded. And that's just, you know, sort of the more classical university degrees where you take a year away from work, you go to the university, you live at the university, and you study as if you're at uni now. There's also part-time opportunities available for sort of further study, for masters, bachelors, PhDs. There's an incredible amount of funding and things out there. There's, like Tom mentioned, the Aerosystems degree course, which is for people wanting to go into test and evaluation roles. They do a master's degree with Cranfield University. They get to do a little bit of flying because it's all to do with testing different aircraft and aircraft systems. There's just so much out there in terms of like learning. It doesn't even have to be a degree. It could be things like, if you want to get your PPL, you can use your standard learning credits towards that. So that gives you a little bit of money every year towards flying, which I'll absolutely be using.
Yeah.
There's so many opportunities available, and it's just a case of, you might have to do a bit of digging to find it, but it's there, and chances are you know somebody that's done it.
Yeah.
If you can find it, there's a whole world of just educational opportunities that are available for you to use and make the most of.
And paid while you're doing it. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
A fully funded degree, but you're getting paid to go to university rather than paying. So yeah.
No-brainer, absolute no-brainer. So I want to talk about some of the fun stuff, because Ella, again, you've touched upon this, but just that kind of work-life balance, but also the social aspect, the sports that you can get involved in. I know it's a huge part of life in the RAF. We talk a lot about it in your company hub. There's so much content in there about the opportunities that you kind of can come your way. So yeah, tell us a bit about maybe some of the activities that you've been involved in.
So far, my kind of main activity, I suppose, is sport aircraft. That's just like flying light aircraft. Okay. So I'm doing my PPL, and that has been paid for by RAF Sport Aircraft. So that was awarded to me as a scholarship, and they run every single year. There's about 30 scholarships in total. And I will shamelessly plug it, because we do it every single year, and people never apply for it because they just don't know that the opportunity is there. That's been one of my biggest things so far. I've had time off in work to go and do it. Well, it's not even time off, it's part of my job, where I've just been allowed to go and do flying. I've been involved with a lot of like STEM ambassador and STEM recruitment stuff as well so far. So going out talking to air cadets, getting involved in cadet camps, just generally trying to recruit and get involved with STEM activities. Like I mentioned, skiing, that's a really big one in the military. So every year there's the annual ski camps in, I think it's January or February, and that's 2 weeks. You don't have to take any leave, you just go skiing. There's some fantastic opportunities. And even on like a smaller side of it, I get time in my work day, so I take 3 hours every week to just go to the gym during my work time, and that's again to do with that work-life balance, where I don't have to, you know, come back from work and think, oh, now I need to go to the gym. I can just do it in my work day. There's so much available in sport, and if there's a sport that you're interested in and it doesn't exist yet, there'll be somebody else that wants to do it, so you can absolutely get it started.
Perfect. Tom, have you got anything to add to that one?
It's a bit like a continuation of university, really. Like when you think of university and there's all this sort of sports clubs and societies around, you take that as exactly the same in the RAF. Like Ella says, someone else is doing something, whether it's like bobsleighing or whether it's like skiing. So I've been out to the ski championships and had sort of more advanced lessons in ski. I could ski already, but I had RAF instructors that were teaching me how to like refine my technique, so I could go down steeper and faster and more exhilarating slopes. But I think bottom line, if you were to take the universities, clubs and societies, that they're available in the RAF. So if you've got sport you're doing now at university and you want to continue doing that, there will almost certainly be a club that's set up and doing it. I think one that sticks out, and I've not done it myself, but I always quite envious because I see friends on social media. But got one friend who's really into their tennis, always been really into their tennis. And as part of the RAF, she's on the RAF tennis team now. So she does a day job, but also spends time on summer camps. And the inter-services championship for that is at Wimbledon.
Oh, wow.
So they get to play on the Wimbledon grass, and I always think that's a pretty cool, cool thing that I always see her doing every year.
Yeah. I love that analogy there, Tom. I think that's a really great one of that kind of continuation of university.
Yeah.
Because for some people, that will be quite comforting as well, knowing that, you know, you can carry something forward, you don't have to stop it. And also then that feeling that you're actually supported and yeah, we want you to do it. It's going to be part of your role. And, you know, the RAF's trying to enhance you as an individual, not just as a, you know, the job that you're doing right now. So which is great. I want to talk about the future if we can. So, Tom, I know you've got a very exciting future ahead of you, and there's some things maybe you can't talk about in much detail because maybe, you know, for whatever you're doing next. But yeah, tell us what the future looks like for you. Can you imagine yourself another 10 years, 15 years staying in the RAF?
Yeah, so I see my future as being in the RAF, and I'd like to think that I'll do enough to get promoted in a decent amount of time and continue my experience. But I think even in the job now as a junior officer, the amount of influence you have to influence the direction of either your flight or your squadron, or the wider impact that they have in the way they do things, or the direction in which the Air Force takes itself is huge. So that's for me only going to increase as sort of I'd like to go up the ranks and experience new things. I think for me, I'd like to go more in, explore more. I've done quite a lot of the platform side and project management side. Maybe now I'd like to sort of go and broaden experience in cyber defence, or sort of working with partner nations and experience some time, maybe spend some time abroad, that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's brilliant, isn't it? It's so nice to know that's an option within your role, that you can go and have that opportunity to go and experience another country and yeah, get paid to do it. Ella, I know again it's hard to ask some of these questions because it's so new, but you're so passionate and you can tell both of you are about your career. But yeah, can you see where your career may end up or where it's going to go in the next few years?
I've always said I want to stay in until they won't let me stay in more.
Oh.
I'll be dragged out by my feet. I've always said that. So one of the things that I'm really interested in doing in the future is flight test engineering. So there's a course that again is paid for by the RAF, and if you are a civilian going and doing the course, it's in the order of tens of thousands of pounds, and it's a year-long course where you learn how to operate different aircraft from a testing perspective. So you might be looking at testing a new radar, potentially testing a whole new aircraft, testing all these different mods and things. And that's something that I've always been really interested in. It's going back to the maths that I really enjoy. It's going back to the flying that I really enjoy. And that's something that has only recently come on my radar. I didn't know that was an opportunity in the RAF until probably about 8 months ago when I was on my training. And then I did a bit more digging into it. It's like, that's absolutely perfect for me. That's such a great continuation of all the things that I enjoy. So that'll be a little bit, probably another couple of years down the line.
Yeah.
There are a couple other jobs that I want to do in the meantime, but yeah, I've always said that I want to try and see how far I can get, do flight test engineering, and yeah, see where I get really.
I don't know if anyone can answer this question. Who's like the longest serving member in the RAF? Have we got someone who's served for the longest?
Oh, I don't know that, but I know I've got a guy on my current squadron at the moment who's did his full-time service, got squadron leader, and decided to become a reserve, and he's now a reserve flight attendant. He's been a reservist since 2006. As sort of he's become a specialist in sort of the area he works in.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's full-time reserve. He loves that. Getting into sort of the details of things and helping out that way. But I don't know, Ella, whether you know.
A lot of my staff have been in. They're like joking that I'm an absolute baby, and they were talking this morning in the office about how most of them have been in the RAF since before I was born.
Oh wow!
So there's lots of people that stay in for a really long time because they get involved and they make the most of it and realise that there's no other job really, unless you go and join the army or the navy, where you're going to get this. You're never going to be able to do what we do on a civilian job.
Yeah. And I can imagine that actually, because you're so used to the environment you're in, to then
Yeah.
outfit. A bit less, but like you, Vicky, in that sense, you wanted to jump back in for your sin.
It is, yeah. So, like I said, I came in and out, but also my husband's RAF and he's a full-time reservist now. So he was a ground engineer. He did 20 plus years, left, and then realised that the grass isn't necessarily greener on the outside, and you have to work for a living, and there's no fun. So he's
can't
done
go
exactly this.
skiing, Jam.
Yeah, done exactly the same. Is that he's come back in as a full-time reservist, and he's got that same flex as me and Ella and Tom. That you know he goes out mountain biking. He takes people mountain biking. They've just had a bowling competition. So there's something literally for anybody and everybody.
I think
Perfect.
the,
Sorry, go on, Tom.
I was just going to say the key thing is I think all the people on all the serving people on this course sort of want to stay in and do a while. Vicky obviously rejoined, but I know people that have done their time, got their courses out of it that they wanted to do. They've been away, they've seen the effect of what they wanted to do, and actually sort of they've come to the end of their RAF career in their eyes, and they've gone off and now they work for industry, whether that's defence related or something else related. But the only thing you see from them is success in terms of they're building on what the RAF has given them, and it's sort of almost given them a level up.
Yeah.
When they go out into industry. So
yeah, that's a really good point, actually.
It is, yeah, I think,
you know, whether you decide to stay in or not, it's an amazing kind of platform to say, you know, a grounding point, whether you're staying or not. So yeah, let's find out then, Carla and Vicky, the application process and what's next.
Thank you, Jess. Thank you, Tom, and thank you, Ella. You know, your insights have been amazing into life at the RAF. So, Vicky, as we mentioned before, the opportunities are currently live on your on the RAF Hub on Gradcracker. So, tell us a little bit more about how students can apply and the application process.
So the application process for the Air Force, I think, is really quite easy. Through your website, you can click on the link and it'll take you to the RAF's page, and it's almost like a tick box questionnaire. So you tell it what you want to be. So whether that's an aerospace systems officer or a communications and electronics or anything that you want. So you tell it what you want to be, then it'll ask you a series of questions about, you know, your age, your education, you know, for the like Ella and Tom, they require a degree. So have you got a degree? Have you got your GCSEs? And it is literally a tick box that gets processed either by an automated system or by some personnel at RAF Cranwell at the moment. And then once that's all been checked over and it's fine, then you're sent off to the AVCO. So there's only a few of them around now, but it's the offices you see out on the streets, like the careers office that you see in the street. So then you'll get called to go and see them. So you've obviously got to prove who you are, because it's the modern day. So things like your birth certificate, your passport, you'll take that to them to make sure that you know you are who you say you are. Some people will sit a defence aptitude testing. Some people won't. It's just dependent on if you want to have a fallback. So that's all done for you. Once that's done, you go and have your capita medical. Then once you pass your medical, you have to pass your fitness test, and we send you off to a local gym where you've got to complete the fitness testing. But that's all done by the gym. So they'll put you on, you know, when you're ready, they'll put you on a treadmill to run a set miles in a set time. And as long as you don't play with the treadmill and just get on and run at whatever they set it at, then you will pass it, no problems. Once that's finished, you will then go to the Officer in Aircrew Selection Centre. I know that on your webpage, we have just uploaded a little video that tells you all about the interviews and the leadership skills that they're going to test you on. So that we can make sure that you're the right type of person to be an officer, that you can lead, that you can also be led. you're gonna give a presentation, you're gonna go through some interviews, but it's all in the little video that's up on the Gradcracker website.
Yeah.
Yes.
Once you pass that, then that's pretty much it. You're gonna get a nice little visit to RAF Cranwell, and it's the most beautiful college, I think, ever inside. And then you're gonna go on to the MIOT, which is your basic officer training.
Yeah.
And that's you. That's you in the Air Force, and like Tom and Ella, that's you starting your career for many, many years to come, hopefully.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So I actually watched that video this morning, Vicky, the one that you're describing, about the application process and things like that. And it is on the RAF Hub on Gradcracker, and it does break down the process really well. So this is what you'd expected to give answers on during the interview and everything else.
Yeah.
So it's well worth a watch after this webinar. And you're right, Cranwell, Jessica.
In the top menu, and then there's a drop down, says becoming an officer. Click that, and it's on the right hand side. It's there.
Jessica knows the RAF Hub like the back of her hand. Can you tell? Can't remember what I was saying now. What was I saying?
Sorry.
But yes, the videos on there, there's loads of really, really, really good content on there. So go and have a look. After the webinar, I was going to say something else, but it escaped me. It might come back to me. Ella, Vicky there just spoke about the fitness test.
Yeah.
And I know people are a bit worried about the fitness test. It's like, how fit do you have to be? And I know you're quite fit because of your love of sports and the gym and things like that. But what preparation, if any, did you do for the fitness test?
So I love sport, hate running.
I hate running, yeah.
Yeah, love sport, don't really like running. I've never been particularly fit. I've never really like enjoyed doing any kind of running, whether it's like, just doing a bleep test or going and like doing half marathons and marathons, even though I've done them, didn't enjoy them. So in terms of like the preparation, I did a lot of like timed runs, and particularly because it's the fitness test it's only quite short. I can't remember, is it 1.5 miles, Vicky? I can't quite remember. Yeah, so it's only quite short, which was perfect for me because I don't want to run any more than that. So I'd like test myself kind of frequently, sort of every 4 weeks or so, just to see how I was doing. I know on the Gradcracker website, it's got the pastimes given for your age and gender, so you can compare it to that and see how well you're getting on. You don't have to be like an absolute, you don't have to be Usain Bolt. You don't have to be a perfect runner. It's there to make sure that you're like safe to operate and that you're going to be okay if we do have to deploy. It was a hard one for me. I didn't enjoy it. I wasn't very good at it, but I still passed, and I still try and keep on top of it now.
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect. Thank you, Ella. And Tom, we're going to come back to you now and kind of move away from the application process. And you've been in the military now for 5 years. So what would you say are the key attributes to make a successful officer?
For me, I think as long as you're interested and engaged with whatever sort of comes through your door or into your inbox, or whatever sort of challenges and issues you face, as long as you're sort of willing to get stuck in and make the most of that you possibly can, I think you'll sail through and you'll be absolutely fine. I think as long as you come in with a good attitude, you don't have, like Alice said, you don't have to be the fittest person in the world. You just got to be a good standard of fitness. You'll get really fit when you go to Cranwell. And it's pretty fun. I don't think I've ever done so much fizzing and enjoyed it as I did at Cranwell. It was surprisingly enjoyable. But yeah, in terms of like officer, like career wise, there will be a multitude of challenges that you'll face. They're all surmountable. There might be ones that people have experienced before, there might not be, but as long as you throw yourself into it and get stuck in, then you'll work them out, and you'll get the credit and the recognition for the work that you've put in as well. Yeah,
that's what I was going to say, Tom. You've reminded me by accident. I know you didn't do this intentionally, but Cranwell is a beautiful place. That's what I was thinking, Vicky, when you said that. It is absolutely stunning. Me and Jess went there a couple of years ago now, didn't we, Jess, to have a good look around, and we did have a really good look around. So last question now, and I'm going to come to you, Ella, to ask this, if that's okay, because I know you do a lot of STEM outreach. I know you speak to a lot of students. So give some students a bit of advice who are thinking about graduating within STEM and considering applying to the RAF. What advice would you give them? Go for it. Do it.
Just go for it. Yeah, no, that's exactly. You took the words out of my mouth. I think because you never know what the answer will be, and like Tom said, you just got to like absolutely throw yourself at everything, because yes, there's challenges, and phase one was difficult, and there were, you know, I had my worries, I had my concerns going through phase one. But if you just throw yourself at it, it'll be fine. There was all sorts on phase one that I was worried about, and even going through selection, there's all sorts that I was worried about. But I was like, well, I'll try it anyway. The worst they can say is no. Clearly they didn't say no, because I'm sat here now talking to you. But I think just whatever it is that you decide to do, just absolutely go for it, because STEM, on the whole, regardless of where you go and what you do, is such an interesting and exciting place to be at the moment. There's all sorts in development, regardless of what sector you go into. That it's fascinating to be in, and just absolutely go for it, because there's all sorts of incredible opportunities out there. And make the most of it, because there's all sorts that's going to come your way.
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect answer. Thank you very much for that, Ella. And thank you, everybody, for joining us on this Gradcracker webinar with the RAF. It's been a brilliant webinar. I've got lots of useful information. And what we'll do is we'll put the webinar on the Gradcracker hub by the end of the day today. And we'll also break it down into bite-sized chunks as well, so you can go back and listen to what everybody said all over again, and lots of hints and tips as well when you do put your applications together. Me and Jess will be back on Monday, so Monday the 17th of November, where we are joined by McLaren Automotive. So join us then at 2 o'clock. But for now, thank you very much, everybody. Good luck with joining your applications, and we shall see you all on Monday. See you soon, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye. Bye.